The woman saw her father sleeping on the street, and her rich husband ordered her to ignore him. Jennifer Miller was walking down the main avenue of New York City when something made her heart stop. There, under the awning of a closed store, was a man sleeping on cardboard, someone she recognized immediately, even after 15 long years without seeing him. That's when she felt Michael's firm hand gripping her arm tightly. "Come on, Jennifer. Don't look at those people," her husband said, adjusting his Italian suit as he led her away. But she couldn't tear her eyes from that frail figure with graying hair and worn-out clothes. It was impossible not to recognize those features that had once been so familiar. "Michael, wait," she whispered, trying to pull free. "No, Jennifer. You're not getting involved with street beggars. Think of our reputation," he replied sharply, quickening his pace. The man stirred slightly in his sleep, and for a moment she saw his face clearly. There was no doubt. It was William Miller, her father, who had vanished from her life when she was just 18. Jennifer obeyed her husband in that moment, but her legs felt like lead as they walked to the car. Michael opened the door of the black Cadillac, and she got in silently, though her mind was in turmoil. "What did you see back there?" Michael asked as he started the engine. "Nothing, I just thought I recognized someone," she lied, staring out the window as they drove away. The entire ride to their mansion in the Upper East Side, Jennifer couldn't speak. Images of her father sleeping on the street mixed with old memories of him taking her for ice cream on Sundays when she was a child. That night, lying in the king-sized bed of her luxurious bedroom, Jennifer didn't sleep a wink. 15 years ago, William had simply disappeared after a terrible argument with her mother, Patricia. He never sent word, never came home. Patricia always said he was irresponsible, that he had abandoned the family to live a carefree life. Jennifer grew up believing that, especially after her mother married Robert, a businessman who gave her everything she needed. But now, seeing the state William was in, Jennifer began questioning everything she had believed all these years. The next morning, Michael left early for a business meeting. Jennifer waited until he was gone, then took her white Lexus and returned to the spot where she had seen her father. He wasn't there anymore. She searched the nearby streets, asked shop owners, but no one seemed to know anything. It was when she stepped into a nearby bakery that the baker, Mr. Johnson, gave her a valuable clue. "You looking for Bill? He always comes by here early in the morning, works the night shift cleaning that office building around the corner," the man said, pointing to a grey building. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us newcomers out. Now, back to the story. Jennifer thanked him and drove to the building. She spoke with the doorman, who confirmed that William worked there from 10 at night until 6 in the morning, Monday through Saturday. "He's a hard worker, you know. Never misses a day, never complains. Quiet, but a good guy," said the doorman, a burly man named Frank. "Does he live around here?" Jennifer asked, trying to control her anxiety. "Yeah, in a boarding house down the back street. Mrs. Thompson runs the place. Simple but clean." Jennifer found the boarding house easily, an old 2-story building painted in faded yellow with a small sign on the door. Mrs. Thompson, a sturdy woman in her 60s, greeted her with suspicion. "You looking for William? He's still asleep. Works all night, poor thing." "I'm an old friend of his. Could I leave a message?" Mrs. Thompson studied her for a few seconds, noting the fine clothes and expensive perfume. "Listen, miss, William has been through a lot. I don't know what you want with him, but he's suffered enough. If you're here to bring trouble, it's better not to wake him." "It's not trouble, Mrs. Thompson. I just need to talk to him." The boarding house owner sighed and climbed the creaky stairs. Jennifer waited in the small living room, observing the old furniture and the lingering smell of stale coffee. 15 minutes later, William came down the stairs slowly. He was wearing a worn-out t-shirt and faded pants, and when he saw Jennifer, he froze mid-step, as if he'd seen a ghost. "Jennifer!" His voice was hoarse, barely a whisper. "Hi, Dad." They stared at each other for long seconds. William looked far older than the 15 years that had passed. He was too thin, with deep wrinkles around his eyes, and his hands trembled slightly. "What are you doing here?" he asked, descending the rest of the stairs slowly. "I saw you yesterday on Fifth Avenue. You were sleeping on the street." William lowered his eyes, clearly ashamed. You shouldn't have come here, Jennifer. Why not? You're my father. I'm no one's father, he replied bitterly. Fathers don't abandon their daughters. Jennifer felt tears burning her eyes. Then why did you leave? Why did you never come back? William glanced at Mrs. Thompson, who pretended to be busy straightening magazines on the table, but was obviously listening. Mrs. Thompson, would you mind if I talk to her in the backyard? Go ahead, William. I'll make some coffee. They stepped out into a small backyard with a few plants and 2 plastic chairs. William sat down heavily, as if every movement pained him. Jennifer, you've grown into a beautiful woman. I saw your pictures in the papers when you got married. Married a wealthy businessman, huh? Your mother must be proud. How do you know about my wedding? William hesitated before answering. I always kept up with you, always followed your life from a distance. But why? Why didn't you ever try to see me? Why did you just disappear? William began coughing violently, a dry, relentless cough that left him breathless. Jennifer stood up, concerned. Dad, are you okay? I'm fine, he said, when the coughing subsided. Just a cold that won't go away. But Jennifer could tell it wasn't just a cold. The cough was too harsh and William had broken into a cold sweat during the fit. Dad, tell me what happened 15 years ago. Why did you leave? William stayed silent for a long time, staring at the plants in the yard. Your mother was right. I was no good. I couldn't give you what you deserved. That's not true. I remember how you always took care of me. You worked so hard to support us. But it wasn't enough, Jennifer. It was never enough for Patricia. Jennifer sat back down, realizing there was far more to the story than her mother had told her. Dad, what really happened that night? I remember you fought, but after that, nothing. You just vanished. William let out a deep sigh. Your mother said things a man doesn't forget. She told me I was a failure, that you were ashamed of me, that everyone would be better off if I disappeared. But that wasn't true. I was never ashamed of you. I know that now, sweetheart, but back then I believed her. I'd been out of work for 3 months, the bills were piling up, and your mother met Robert. Jennifer began to understand. Robert was the stepfather who had entered her life right after William disappeared. Your mother always said it was a coincidence that they met later, but now Jennifer suspected that wasn't quite the case. Did Mom already know Robert before you left? William hesitated again, as if deciding whether or not to tell the truth. Jennifer, some things are better left in the past. No, Dad, I need to know. Were 15 years of my life based on a lie? Mrs. Thompson came in with a tray of coffee and bread. She set everything down on the small plastic table between the chairs. Sorry to interrupt, but I thought you might need some coffee. Jennifer thanked her, but barely touched her cup. Her mind was focused on uncovering the truth that had been hidden from her for so long. Dad, please, tell me everything. William took a sip of coffee and began speaking, his voice growing quieter. Your mother had already been with Robert for a few months when I found out. I discovered a letter from him in her purse. That night, when I confronted her, she said she was going to file for divorce anyway, and that I had a choice. Leave the house willingly, or she'd accuse me of things that weren't true. Jennifer felt the ground drop beneath her. What kind of things? She said she'd claim I hit her, that I drank, that I mistreated you. She said she could prove it, and that I'd never see you again if I didn't walk away. Tears began streaming down Jennifer's face. Everything she had believed about her father was crumbling. But you could have explained, you could have reached out to me later. How, Jennifer? You were 18, about to start college. Your mother told me you already knew everything and agreed with her decision. She said you'd told her you'd feel safer if I wasn't around. I never said that. Dad, I never said any of that. William began crying too, silent tears rolling down his face, marked by a hard life. I believed it, Jennifer. I was a fool and I believed it. I thought you'd both be better off without me, that Robert could give you everything I couldn't. Jennifer stood and hugged her father for the first time in 15 years. He was much thinner than she remembered, and she could feel the bones of his back through his thin shirt. Dad, Forgive me for not looking for you sooner. I should have suspected something. No, sweetheart. You were too young. And your mother was always very convincing. They held each other for several minutes, crying together for all the lost years, the unspoken words, the important moments they'd missed. When they finally pulled apart, Jennifer wiped her tears and tried to gather her thoughts. Dad, where have you lived all these years? What have you done? At first, I stayed with friends, then rented a small room. I worked all kinds of jobs: salesman, delivery driver, construction helper. I always sent money to you. Jennifer was stunned. Sent money? We never got anything. William looked confused. What do you mean? I deposited it every month into the account your mother gave me. Sometimes it wasn't much, but I always sent something. Dad, what account? Mom always said you never sent a cent. William stood abruptly, making the plastic chair creak. Wait here, he said, hurrying upstairs to his room. He returned minutes later with an old shoebox. He opened it in front of Jennifer, revealing hundreds of bank deposit slips, all neatly organized by date. Look here, Jennifer. Every month for 5 years, I only stopped when I lost my job and ended up on the streets. Jennifer picked up a few slips with trembling hands. They were all in Patricia Miller's name, her mother. Amounts ranging from $200 to $500, always on the same date each month. Dad, Mom never told me about this. She always said you had completely abandoned us. William Miller sat down again, looking older and tired. Jennifer, your mother lied to you about many things. But why? Why would she do that? Because it was easier. It was easier for you to hate me than to have to split your attention between me and Robert. Jennifer fell silent, processing everything she had just discovered. Her entire life had been built on her mother's lies. Dad, why did you never try to reach out when I got older? When I moved out, when I got married? William hesitated again. I did try, Jennifer. Many times. He reached into the box and pulled out some sheets of paper. Look here. Letters I wrote to you all these years. I sent them to your mother's house, to your apartment when you moved, to your workplace when I found out where you worked. Jennifer took the letters. There were dozens of them, all in envelopes she had never seen. She opened one dated 5 years ago. My dear Jennifer, I know you must be angry with me for disappearing from your life, but you need to know that not a single day has passed without me thinking of you. I heard you graduated in business and landed a job at a big company. I'm so proud of the woman you've become. Jennifer couldn't keep reading. Tears blurred her vision. Dad, I never got any of these letters. I figured. At first I thought you just didn't want to respond, but after so many years with no reply, I realized your mother was intercepting everything. How did you even get all this information about my life? William looked embarrassed. I always knew where you lived, where you worked. Sometimes I'd pass by from a distance just to see you coming or going. I never approached because I didn't want to disrupt your life. Jennifer felt a mix of sadness and anger. Sadness knowing her father had suffered alone all these years, watching her life from afar. Anger at discovering her mother had sabotaged every attempt he made to reconcile. Dad, do you still want to be part of my life? William looked at her with shining eyes. Jennifer, there's nothing in this world I want more. But you have a life now, a wealthy husband, a social standing. I'm just an old man who cleans offices at night. I don't care about that. You're my father and I love you. William began to cry again, but this time they were tears of relief and happiness. I love you too, my girl. I never stopped loving you. They talked for 2 more hours. William told her about his difficult life, the jobs he'd lost, the nights he'd slept on the streets when he couldn't afford rent. Jennifer shared about her life, her marriage, her career, but left out the fact that she wasn't entirely happy. When they finally said goodbye, Jennifer promised she'd return the next day. She drove home with her mind swirling with conflicting thoughts. How would she tell Michael about her father? How would she confront her mother about the lies? And most of all, how would she handle the guilt of believing the wrong words for 15 years? Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. When she got home, Michael was already there, reviewing documents in his luxurious office. Their house was enormous, 3 floors with impeccable decor that had cost a fortune. "Where were you all day?" he asked without looking up from his papers. "I went shopping," Jennifer lied. "I didn't see any bags in the car." She bristled at her husband's probing tone. "I didn't buy anything in the end. Didn't like anything I saw." Michael finally looked up, studying her expression. "You've been acting strange since yesterday. What's going on?" Jennifer hesitated. Part of her wanted to tell Michael everything, but she remembered his reaction when he saw William on the street. She decided not to say anything for now. "I'm fine, just a little tired. Dinner's ready. My mother is joining us tonight. Mrs. Margaret, Michael's mother, was a 70-year-old woman who had built a business empire alongside her late husband. She was respected in New York City's social circles, but had very strong opinions about how people should behave. During dinner, Jennifer could barely focus on the conversation. Her mind was on William, wondering if he'd managed to eat anything decent or if he'd gone hungry again. "Jennifer, are you listening to me?" asked Mrs. Margaret. "Sorry, I was distracted. What did you say?" "I was talking about the charity event next week. I need your help organizing it." "Of course. You can count on me." Michael watched Jennifer more closely. "Are you sure you're okay? You seem like you're somewhere else." "I'm fine, Michael, just thinking about some work stuff." Mrs. Margaret and Michael exchanged a worried glance. "Jennifer, sweetheart, if there's a problem, you can tell us," said her mother-in-law. "We're family." Jennifer felt a pang of irony. Here she was, surrounded by luxury and comfort, yet lying to the people closest to her. Meanwhile, her real father was in a humble boarding house, working nights just to survive. After dinner, Jennifer locked herself in the bedroom and started thinking about how to resolve the situation. She couldn't keep lying to Michael, but she also didn't know how he'd react to learning about William. Michael had grown up in a wealthy family and had always shown some prejudice against less fortunate people. She'd heard him make dismissive comments more than once about the riffraff living in the city's downtown streets. The next morning, Jennifer woke up early and left before Michael got up. She bought fruit, bread, milk, and other groceries at an expensive bakery and took everything to Mrs. Thompson's boarding house. William was surprised and a little embarrassed by the amount of food Jennifer brought. "Sweetheart, you didn't have to bring all this." "Of course I did. Now that I've found you, I'm going to take care of you." Mrs. Thompson appeared in the kitchen and was impressed by the quality of the items Jennifer had brought. "My, what beautiful bread. That must have cost a fortune." "It was nothing, Mrs. Thompson. The important thing is that my father eats well." William and Jennifer sat in the small living room of the boarding house to talk. She noticed he was wearing the same clothes as the day before and that there was a pile of old clothes on a chair. "Dad, you need new clothes." "The ones I have are fine." "No, they're not. Let's get you some new ones." William shook his head. "Jennifer, I don't want you spending money on me. It's already too much that you looked for me." "Dad, I can afford to help. Please let me do this." After much insistence, William agreed. They went to a nearby mall, and Jennifer was moved watching her father try on new clothes. It had been so long since he'd had anything of quality. "Dad, this shirt looks great on you," Jennifer said when he came out of the fitting room in a light blue shirt. William looked at himself in the mirror and smiled shyly. He looked like a different man in clothes that fit properly. They bought a few shirts, pants, shoes, and undergarments. Jennifer insisted on paying for everything, despite her father's protests. "Now you look like the father I remember," Jennifer said as they left the store. Over lunch at a simple restaurant in the mall, William shared more details about his life over the past few years. He'd gone through very tough times, especially when he got sick and lost his construction job. "I spent almost a year on the streets, Jennifer. Sleeping under awnings, eating whatever I could find. It was the hardest time of my life." "How did you get out of that situation?" "Mrs. Thompson found me one night when it was raining heavily. I had pneumonia and was almost gone. She took me to the hospital, paid for the treatment, and then offered me a room in her boarding house." Jennifer felt immense gratitude for Mrs. Thompson. "She's an angel." "She really is. Without her, I wouldn't be here talking to you today." After lunch, they went to a pharmacy. Jennifer noticed William bought some cough medicine and other medications. "Dad, that cough hasn't improved at all since yesterday." "It's just a cold, sweetheart. It'll pass." But Jennifer wasn't convinced. The cough seemed very persistent, and William coughed frequently, sometimes struggling to catch his breath. "When was the last time you saw a doctor?" "Oh, it's been a while. I don't have money for those things." "Dad, let's schedule an appointment for you. This cough worries me." "There's no need, Jennifer. I don't want to be a bother." "It's not a bother. It's care. You're my father, and I want you to be well." By evening, Jennifer dropped William off at the boarding house and returned home. Michael was in the office on the phone, clearly irritated about some work issue. When he hung up, he asked where she'd been all day. "I went out to take care of some personal matters," Jennifer said, avoiding details. "Jennifer, you've been acting very strange lately. Leaving early, coming back late, always with these vague excuses." Jennifer felt she couldn't delay the conversation any longer. "Michael, I need to tell you something important." He set aside the documents he was reading and gave her his full attention. "I'm listening." Jennifer took a deep breath. "That man we saw sleeping on the street yesterday was my father." Michael was silent for a few seconds, processing the information. "Your father? I thought that you hadn't been in touch for years." "We hadn't. 15 years without seeing each other. But yesterday, I recognized him, and today, I went after him." "And you talked?" "We did. Michael, I found out my mother lied to me about so many things. My father never abandoned us. She was the one who kicked him out." Michael leaned back in his chair, clearly uncomfortable. "Jennifer, even if that's true, the fact is he's living on the streets. That could be very damaging to our image." "Our image? Michael, he's my father." "And I understand that, but we need to be practical. If people find out you have a father living on the streets, working as a janitor, it could affect my business, our social standing." Jennifer felt anger rising inside her. "So you'd rather I ignore my own father to protect your reputation?" "That's not what I'm saying, Jennifer. It's just, they're different worlds. He's not part of our life now." "But I want him to be. I want to help him. I want a relationship with him." Michael stood up and began pacing the office. "Jennifer, be realistic. What are you going to do? Bring him into our home? Introduce him to our friends? Take him to social events? If I have to, yes, and that's impossible. We can't mix our social life with people like that." "People like that? You're talking about my father." "I'm talking about a man who lives on the streets, Jennifer. No matter that he's your father, that's the reality." The argument was growing heated. Jennifer had never seen Michael so inflexible about anything. Michael, he didn't choose to live on the streets. He went through hardships, lost jobs, got sick. That could happen to anyone. It doesn't happen to people who plan, who have education, who make the right choices in life. Jennifer was stunned by her husband's coldness. "You're being cruel, Michael. I'm being realistic." "Jennifer, you grew up in a middle-class family, studied at a private university, had every opportunity. Your father obviously didn't know how to make the most of his. You don't know his story. You don't know what he's been through. And I don't want to know. What matters is the current situation. And the current situation is that he's a problem for us." Jennifer felt like she was seeing a side of Michael she had never noticed before, a cold, calculating, and prejudiced side. "I'm not abandoning my father again. No one's asking you to abandon him, but you need to keep your distance, maybe help financially but discreetly. He doesn't want financial help. He wants to have a daughter." Michael sighed, clearly frustrated. "Jennifer, you need to choose. Either our life as it is, or this complication that will destroy everything we've built." "Is that an ultimatum?" "It's a reality check." Jennifer stormed out of the office, slamming the door. She went upstairs to the bedroom and locked herself in, trying to sort out her thoughts. She was facing the toughest situation of her adult life. On one side, there was the husband she loved and a comfortable life. On the other, There was the father she had reconnected with and who needed her. But deep down, Jennifer knew there was no choice to make. William was her father and she wasn't going to abandon him again. The next morning she left early once more to pick up William and take him to the doctor. She had scheduled a private appointment at a good hospital despite his protests. The doctor, Dr. Williams, examined William carefully and ordered some tests. "Mr. William, that cough of yours is concerning. I need a chest x-ray and some blood work to see what's going on." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps those of us just starting out. Now back to the story. They did the tests that same day, and the doctor asked them to return the following week for the results. On the way back to the boarding house, William was quieter than usual. "Dad, what's on your mind?" "Jennifer, I don't want to be a burden to you. If this cough turns out to be something serious, don't talk like that. Whatever it is, we'll handle it together." "But what about your husband? He wasn't happy to find out about me, was he?" Jennifer sighed. She hadn't been able to hide the conflict at home. "Dad, Michael, he doesn't understand yet, but he will." "Jennifer, I don't want you to have problems in your marriage because of me." "There won't be any problems. He just needs to get to know you better." But Jennifer wasn't convinced by her own words. Michael had made it clear he didn't want William around, and she didn't know how to fix the situation. For the rest of the week, Jennifer kept visiting her father daily, always hiding it from Michael. She brought food, they talked about the past, and she began to understand better the hard years he had endured. William told her there were times he had tried to find better jobs, but always ran into issues with references or his age. At 55, opportunities were hard to come by. "Jennifer, you know what hurt me the most? It wasn't the hunger, it wasn't the cold. It was walking past a school and seeing parents picking up their kids. I'd imagine what it would be like if I were picking you up." Jennifer cried as she listened to her father share these things. 15 years of suffering that could have been avoided if her mother hadn't lied. That Friday, Michael found out Jennifer had been lying about her daily outings. "Jennifer, my driver saw you at a boarding house downtown. What were you doing there?" Jennifer realized she couldn't hide it anymore. "I was visiting my father. He lives there." "You promised you'd keep your distance." "I never promised that." "You decided this on your own." Michael turned red with anger. "Jennifer, this has to stop. I won't allow you to continue with this situation." "You won't allow me. Since when do you decide what I can or can't do?" "Since we're married and share a life. Your actions affect me too." "Then maybe we need to rethink this life we share." Michael stayed quiet for a few seconds, clearly surprised by his wife's firmness. "Are you threatening me with divorce over a homeless man?" "I'm telling you, I won't abandon my father. If that's a problem for you, then the problem is yours, not mine." That night, they slept in separate rooms for the first time in 3 years of marriage. On Saturday morning, Jennifer went to pick up William to get his test results. She was nervous because his cough had worsened during the week. Dr. Williams received them in his office with a serious expression. "Mr. William, I need to talk to you about the results." William held Jennifer's hand. "You can speak freely, doctor. She's my daughter. The tests show you have pneumonia that isn't responding well to basic treatment. There are also some concerning irregularities. I need to admit you for more intensive care." Jennifer felt the ground drop beneath her. "Is it serious, doctor?" "I can't say for certain yet, but we need to act quickly. Mr. Williams' respiratory system is severely compromised." William squeezed his daughter's hand. "Jennifer, I can't afford private hospitalization." "Dad, don't worry about that. I'll take care of everything." The doctor admitted William that same day. Jennifer stayed with him until late, helping him settle into his room and speaking with the nurses about his care. When she finally returned home, it was almost 10 at night. Michael was in the living room waiting for her. "Where have you been this late?" "At the hospital. My father was admitted." Michael looked surprised. "Admitted? What's wrong with him?" "Pneumonia. It could be serious." For the first time, Jennifer saw genuine concern on her husband's face. "Jennifer, I'm sorry." "Sorry for what?" "That he's sick or that you have a father-in-law you consider a burden?" I'm sorry he's sick. Regardless of our differences, I don't want anyone to suffer. Jennifer sat on the couch, physically and emotionally exhausted. Michael, I need to tell you something. I'll be with my father at the hospital as often as necessary. I'll take care of him, pay for his treatment, and be there for him. If that's a problem for you, tell me now. Michael was silent for a long time. Jennifer, I don't want our marriage to end over this. Then accept that my father is part of my life. It's hard for me, Jennifer. I was raised very differently. I know, but you can try to understand. Michael let out a deep sigh. What do you need me to do? I need you to get to know him, really know him, talk to him, understand who he is. And if I do that, will you stop hiding things from me? Stop lying about where you are? I will, but I need your word that you'll give him a chance. All right, I'll try. On Sunday, Jennifer took Michael to the hospital. She was nervous, unsure how the two most important men in her life would act around each other. William was doing better, responding well to treatment. When he saw Michael enter the room, he clearly tensed up. Dad, this is my husband, Michael. Michael, this is my father, William. The two men exchanged formal greetings, but Jennifer could feel the tension in the air. How are you feeling? Michael asked. Better, thank you. And thank you for letting Jennifer visit me. Michael was taken aback by his father-in-law's simple gratitude. She has every right to see you. I know my situation isn't the best. I understand if this causes problems. Jennifer intervened. Dad, it's not a problem at all. You're welcome in our lives. William looked at Michael, searching for confirmation. Your daughter is a special woman, Michael said after a few seconds, and special women come from special families. It was a simple remark, but William was moved. She's always been special. Even when she was little, she showed she'd grow into a strong woman. What was she like as a child? And William began telling stories about Jennifer as a little girl, how she insisted on helping him fix things around the house, how she was afraid of the dark but pretended to be brave, how she asked tough questions that left him speechless. Michael listened carefully, and Jennifer saw he was starting to see William not as a problem, but as the father who had raised the woman he loved. When they left the hospital, Michael was more thoughtful. He loves you very much, he said in the car. I know, and I love him too. Jennifer, I want to apologize for how I reacted when you told me about him. You were protecting our life, I understand. No, I was being prejudiced. Your father seems like a good man who's been through hard times. Jennifer felt immense relief. So you accept him in our lives? I do. But let's do this the right way. We'll help him recover, give him the support he needs. William stayed hospitalized for 2 weeks. During that time, Michael visited him often, sometimes alone. They talked about work, life, and the struggles William had faced. Michael began to understand that his father-in-law's situation wasn't due to laziness or irresponsibility, but a series of tough circumstances and limited choices. When William was discharged, Michael made an offer. Mr. William, Jennifer and I talked, and we'd like to invite you to live with us. William was surprised. That's very generous, but I don't want to be a burden. You won't be. We have a big house with a separate apartment in the back. You'd have your privacy, but be close to Jennifer. Jennifer was radiant. Dad, please say yes, I want you near me. William looked at Michael. Are you sure about this, son? I am. Jennifer needs you close, and I've learned that family is the most important thing we have. William accepted with tears in his eyes. Moving into Jennifer and Michael's home was an adjustment for everyone. William wasn't used to so much luxury and sometimes felt out of place. But Michael made sure to include him in conversations, asked for his opinion on things, and gradually, William began to feel like part of the family. Jennifer finally found the courage to confront her mother about the lies from the past. The conversation was hard but necessary. Patricia initially denied everything, but when Jennifer showed the letters and deposit slips William had kept, she couldn't keep lying. Jennifer, I did what I thought was best for you at the time. Lying was best for me. Making me hate my father was best for me. I wanted you to have opportunities I never had. Robert could provide that. But you had no right to decide that alone. You had no right to tear us apart. Jennifer and her mother's relationship was strained for a while, but eventually they reconciled, especially after Patricia saw William again and noticed how happy he was. 3 months after William moved in, Jennifer discovered she was pregnant. The news brought immense joy to the whole family. William was emotional at the thought of becoming a grandfather, and Michael was overjoyed. "Our child will be lucky to know their grandfather," said Michael to William, "and they'll learn values from him that money can't buy." William became a constant presence in the couple's life. He helped with small repairs around the house, tended to the garden, and always had an interesting story to share at dinner. Jennifer discovered that her father was far wiser than she had imagined. The difficult years on the streets had taught him resilience, gratitude, and the importance of life's simple things. Michael, in turn, learned from his father-in-law that success isn't measured by money alone. William was a man rich in experiences, wisdom, and the ability to love. 6 months later, Emma was born, a beautiful girl who was completely smitten with her grandfather from the very first day. William would hold her for hours, singing lullabies he had once sung to Jennifer when she was a baby. "Dad, you're an amazing grandfather," Jennifer said one afternoon, watching William play with Emma in the garden. "I'm making up for lost time," he replied, "with you and now with her." The family's life was finally complete. Jennifer had the husband she loved, the daughter she adored, and the father she had found again. William never had to worry about where he would sleep or what he would eat. More importantly, he never felt alone or abandoned again. A year after Emma's birth, the family threw a party to celebrate William's birthday. They invited Mrs. Thompson, who had become like a mother to him, some old co-workers and family friends. During the celebration, Michael gave a speech. "2 years ago, I was a man who thought I knew what mattered in life. I believed success was measured by material achievements and social status. But meeting my father-in-law taught me I was wrong." William was moved by his son-in-law's words. "William, you taught me that family is everything, that love is priceless, that dignity doesn't depend on a bank account. Thank you for raising such a wonderful daughter, and thank you for teaching me to be a better man." Everyone applauded, and William stood to respond. "I spent 15 years of my life thinking I didn't deserve to be a father, that I didn't deserve my daughter's love. But you all showed me it's never too late to start over, never too late to be happy." He looked at Jennifer, who was holding Emma in her arms. "Jennifer, thank you for never giving up on me. Thank you for coming to find me. These last 2 years have been the happiest of my life." The party went on late into the night, filled with music, food, and joy. William danced with Jennifer, taught Michael some old dance steps, and rocked Emma to sleep in his arms. Later, when everyone had left, the family sat on the porch enjoying the quiet evening. "Dad, do you regret anything?" Jennifer asked. William thought for a few seconds. "I regret believing your mother's lies. I regret missing so many years of your life. But I don't regret the hardships I faced, because they taught me to value what truly matters." "What matters most?" Michael asked. "You. Being here, in this moment, with the people I love. No amount of money in the world could buy this." Jennifer took her father's hand and her husband's. "I've learned that family isn't perfect, but it's ours, and that love can overcome any prejudice, any difference, any past mistakes." Michael nodded. "I've learned that dignity has nothing to do with an address or a bank account. It's about character, love, and loyalty." Emma stirred in the bassinet they had brought to the porch, and William got up to check on her. "Our little princess will grow up knowing that family is the most precious treasure there is," he said, adjusting his granddaughter's blanket. "And you'll learn the story of the grandfather who never stopped loving his daughter, even when all seemed lost," Jennifer finished. When they finally went to sleep, it was past midnight. William headed to his apartment at the back of the house, but before entering, he looked at the main house where Jennifer, Michael, and Emma were sleeping. He remembered the cold nights at Mrs. Thompson's boarding house when he wondered if he'd ever have a family again. He recalled the nights on the street, dreaming of reuniting with his daughter. Now, everything felt like a dream come true. Not only had he found Jennifer again, but he had gained a son-in-law who respected him and a granddaughter who adored him. He entered his apartment, but before sleeping, he opened the drawer where he kept the old letters he had written to Jennifer. He took out a sheet of paper and wrote one last letter. "My dear Jennifer, today marks 2 years since we were reunited. 2 years that have completely changed my life. I want you to know that every day by your side is a gift I never expected to receive again. Thank you for being brave enough to look for me. Thank you for fighting for our love, even when it brought challenges into your life. You gave me back the dignity of being a father, a grandfather, part of a family. I love you more than words can express, and I promise to cherish every moment we still have together. Your loving father, William." He placed the letter with the others, not to send it, but so that Emma might one day read it and understand the story of love between a father and daughter who found each other against all odds. The next morning, Jennifer woke early and went to have coffee with her father, as had become their routine. She found him in the garden, watering the plants. "Good morning, Dad." "Good morning, my dear. How's our little princess today?" "Still asleep. I think she wore herself out at yesterday's party." They sat at the garden table, sipping coffee and watching the city wake up around them. "Jennifer, I wanted to thank you again for everything you've done for me." "Dad, you don't have to thank me every day." "Oh, but I do, because every day I wake up happy to be here." Jennifer smiled and held her father's hand. "I wake up happy too, Dad. Having you back has made my life whole." Michael appeared on the porch, already dressed for work. "Good morning, everyone. Mind if I join you?" "Of course," William said. "There's always room for you here." Michael sat with them and drank his coffee as they talked about their plans for the day. "Dad, I've been thinking about something. Would you like to work at my company?" William was surprised. "At your company, doing what?" "We have a maintenance department that always needs experienced people. You know a little about everything. You'd be a great fit." "Michael, that's very generous, but I don't want people thinking you gave me the job just because I'm your father-in-law." "So what if they do? What matters is that you're capable and willing to work." Jennifer was moved, watching her husband make the offer. "Dad, say yes. You've always loved working, always wanted to feel useful." William thought for a few seconds. "If you're sure you won't regret it, I accept, but I want to be treated like any other employee." "Deal," Michael said, extending his hand. And so William returned to having a steady job, his own income, and the dignity of contributing to the family, even if just symbolically. The months passed peacefully and happily. Emma grew up surrounded by the love of her parents and grandfather. William settled well into his job at Michael's company, earning his co-workers' respect through his dedication and experience. Jennifer resumed her career after maternity leave, now with the peace of mind knowing Emma was in good hands with her grandfather when she couldn't be there. The relationship between Michael and William grew even stronger. They discovered they had much in common, especially their love for Jennifer and Emma. One Sunday afternoon, as they watched Emma take her first steps in the garden, William reflected. "You know, Michael, I used to think my life had been a failure. 15 years on the streets, no family, no prospects. But now I understand everything I went through had a purpose." "What purpose?" Michael asked. "To prepare me to appreciate this." William gestured around them. "If I hadn't lost everything, maybe I wouldn't know the value of having you all in my life." Jennifer, who was playing with Emma, overheard the conversation. "Dad, do you think everything happens for a reason?" "I think sometimes life takes us down hard roads to teach us important lessons. My path was painful, but it brought me back to you." Michael nodded. "I've learned a lot from this too. I've learned not to judge people by appearances or circumstances. Your father taught me humility." Emma wobbled a few more steps before plopping down on the grass, giggling. William rushed to help her up. "Come on, princess. Grandpa's always here to help you." Jennifer watched the scene with a heart full of gratitude. Not only had she found her father again, but she had seen her family grow and strengthen in ways she never imagined. 2 years later, when Emma was already talking and running through the garden, the family threw another party, this time to celebrate the 4-year anniversary of Jennifer and William's reunion. Mrs. Thompson was there, now a constant presence in their lives. Patricia and Robert were also invited, and over time their relationships had mended. During the party, Emma climbed onto her grandfather's lap and asked an innocent question that moved everyone. "Grandpa, why were you away from Mommy for so long?" William looked at Jennifer, who nodded, giving him permission to answer. "Because sometimes grown-ups make mistakes, Princess. But what matters is that when you truly love someone, you always find a way back." "And do you love Mommy?" "Very much. And I love you too." Emma hugged her grandfather tightly. "I love you too, Grandpa. And I don't ever want you to leave again." "Never again, Princess. Now I'll stay right here with you." The party went on late into the night, but the most emotional moment came when Michael made an announcement. "Everyone, Jennifer and I have some news to share." The room fell silent in anticipation. "We're having another baby." The house erupted in celebration. William beamed at the thought of another grandchild. "Another grand baby to spoil," he said, hugging Jennifer. "Another member of the Miller-Anderson family," Michael added. And so the family kept growing, not just in number but in love, understanding, and unity. William never had to worry about the future again. He had his daughter's love, his son-in-law's respect, his grandchildren's affection, and the certainty that he was part of something greater than himself. Jennifer had fulfilled her dream of a whole, united family. She had reconciled the past with the present and built a future rooted in love and forgiveness. Michael discovered that true wealth wasn't in bank accounts or material possessions, but in genuine human connections and unconditional family love. And Emma grew up in a home filled with love, learning early on that family is the most precious thing a person can have, and that love can overcome any obstacle. The story that began with a woman seeing her father sleeping on the street had become a beautiful tale of second chances, the power of forgiveness, and how love can transform lives. William never slept on the street again. He never went hungry again. He never felt alone again. And Jennifer never had to choose between the family she built and the family that raised her again, because she managed to unite them as one. The end. Now we want to know, what did you think of this story of reunion and forgiveness? Do you believe Jennifer made the right decision by choosing to fight for her father? Share your honest opinion with us in the comments. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss other heartfelt stories like this one.